Good morning and welcome to the Bitcoin charts. We'll do our roundup of the weekly update, take a look at the Bitcoin price, and let's see how we went. Currently, we're trading at 19,127 US dollars. We've got a resistance currently at 20,335, and we have support around the 18,200 on a long-term weekly, or more local 18,400 on the daily. If we just take a zoom out to the daily level, as we can see historically, if we look at all our high time frame levels, we've had some traction since back in the July 2020, since the highs up there of the 19,000 region, this is the 13,000 region. Bybit doesn't go back that far. As you can see, we're currently sitting on an old weekly, which is from this small consolidation zone here, around about the 17 to 20,000 region. In my opinion, if we were to lose this region, this is going to take us right back down to the $12,000 region, as there is no support remaining after we fall below sort of the 17,600 level. As you can see, we're at this last consolidation area, so that is something to be mindful of. I'm pretty sure we'd all like to see a bit of an uptick, maybe take the lows, take the final bit of liquidity somewhere in this region and tick up. Now, there is some daily levels below here on each one of these candles, but just from a higher time frame perspective, if we were to lose this level heavily in a back test there, I would be expecting lower levels into this region for the previous consolidation. I can use the let's see what chart was it. Wasn't the Coinbase chart. It would be not Bybit, Coinbase, Binance. Binance may have some historical data that we can use. Let's just take a quick look. No, not Binance. I'll have to have a look into it. Maybe I'll add it into the next video that we do. Okay, so what I'll do is, there we go. That's the one I want. Coinbase has got some historical data. So as you can see here, if you look at the previous highs of December 2017, which was a couple of runs ago, we are currently sitting right on the top of that high, so which we class as a resistance support flip, after our recent rundown. Now, we all know the recent rundown has been pretty hectic, and the whole global market's had a downturn. We're roughly down 73% at the moment. After we had the COVID pandemic, we did a nice run up of 950%. So, you got to expect some pullback. Let's just go back to the Bitcoin chart over on Bybit, which I've currently got marked out because I've already done my levels. So if we look at this sideways range that we've currently been traveling in, we've probably been sat in this range now. I think it was 123 days. 123 days being sat in the sideways level, and as you can see, we had a nice rise up, took out this level here, previous weekly, got a bit of a downturn, and we've consolidated sort in this area, and what we've continuously been making is lower high, lower high, lower high, and we have also been making lower lows. We have not yet taken out the low of June, which would be the final low before we look at consolidation from back earlier in the year, which would be back on 2020 run up. So I would say, if you're looking down at the moment, we are sat between these two daily levels of 20,300 and 18,450. Now, if we actually take a look at the price action and see what actually happened in this region. Okay, so if we look at the most recent price action when we dipped into the lows, so what you can see here is we had 234 million volume straight into the lows, straight through the daily into the weekly level, negative 17 million delta. So it was a hard push to the downside. Support held. We reclaimed it. We had a nice bit of a push up, and as you can see, the open interest increasing here. So we had a nice little push up. We had 19 million, which is pretty much neutral delta. And then we had 27 million volume with 6 million positive. And from there, we managed to climb. And we absolutely had, 77 million volume, 21 million positive delta, but it was on a negative open interest, which is basically positions closing, so a lot of shorts closed here, which caused the reaction where we flew straight through the previous VWAP, up through. We expect a bit of a reaction at the previous day's VWAP, straight through the level, up to the top here. And as you look here, see we had 66 million again, so that's 66 million with positive 12 million delta of positions closing. So that's shorts closing. In order to close a short, you have to buy a long, hence why there's such volatility. We have some consolidation, which is in a triangle format. And as you can see, dip to the low, take the high. And now this one's the quite interesting one, because as you look at these here, 3 bars pushing up of open interest, you have some longs closing, you have some new longs opening, and then you have this huge push up of net longs from here. And we have this positive 27 million delta with 97 million volume. And this ripped right up through a couple of days ago, previous VWAP. And as you can see here, you want to know exactly where we stopped. Well, thank you very much, Bixby. And as you can see here, where we had a clean push up, and as you can see, there's a lot of new longs opening. Now, what I want to show you is where exactly these new longs were open up to. If we take a look at, just pull it up here we go. So if we take a look at yesterday, take a look here. So we had all these new longs opening up, and as they pushed up into a previous areas point of control, which is a TPO right here, and a volume point of control from a previous session, which was a huge, so it's basically a naked point of control, which was a huge area. I would class that as tapped. So as you can see, we've tapped it, and then we started to pull back. Now, if we go back and look at the actual price action that happened, which will be in this area here. So this will be here. So the previous point of control was on this level here. If we just zoom out slightly, if we put a fixed range on the old range here, this should be probably the value area low. Let's take a look. So it'll be around about here. There we go. So just have a quick look at that. Just change that to white. Dashed line. There we go. So as you look at the for previous price action, when it's pushing up, what it wants to do is it'll hit the value area low, and if it gets acceptance into the area, then you expect it to push up to the previous point of control. Again, if you get acceptance above that, you push to the value area high before moving on to the next level, hence why we didn't go up to the daily. So what we've done is we've had a really sharp push up in a small time frame. We had a nice push up of over 10%. That's massive in terms of people who trade this on day trading or scalping. So it's a huge support area when you look out and zoom out on a high time frame. And we've hit this value area low, and then we've started to have a bit of a pullback. Now, if you notice on this pullback here, so we've pulled back, and what you've got here is, if you use a bit of Fibonacci, just take it, here we go. Take this Fibonacci, take from the high to the low, back to the high. You see we just take through the golden pocket there and into this small area there. So if I go down to a lower time frame, on let's say the 15-minute time frame, what you can see here is you have this whole consolidation area right here. And if you take a fixed range over it, you won't just have the 618 to 65. Alright, so as you can see in this consolidation area here, you had your Fibonacci, which your golden pocket is classic in terms of technical analysis with Bitcoin. And then on the push up, you went straight through the value area low into the point of control, consolidation area, and a quick rejection. And off we went to the races, down to the downside. Now with the push to the downside, as you can see, it was very swift, took out the lows cleanly. And upon taking the lows out here, you had this nice rejection. So there's your low, 618, that's your short position. Takes out the lows, back test for continuation, and on it moves down. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the higher time frame, 15 minutes. So as you can see, anyone who took a short position here and seen the push down, we will take a look at the order flow in this area. So let's have a look at, apologies, I'm working with the new tabs. So if you take a look here, you can see the price action push down, pushed into this point of control area. And what we had here is we had 31 million volume, slight increase in open interest with some new longs opening. So you had new longs open up into the area. It was positive delta of 1.2 million, which faded instantly. And we had a full rejection here where you've got new shorts opening. As you can see, the shorts are positive there. It's pushed up to 5 million. So there's an extra 2 million shorts, 13 million volume. And we had this nice rejection down, lose the VWAP and start pushing to the downside. Okay. So as we started pushing down to the downside, we've had a bit of a steady Saturday, should we say, over here in Australia. And we've sat sideways. If you want to take a look in terms of the sessions where we opened up, this was the Asian session open here of the morning. And we've pretty much consolidated sideways, took the lows, and we're now currently sitting just below the daily open. I am cautiously watching, because as you can see, we've got the previous day open, previous day value area low. If we can reclaim that level, then I'll be looking to the previous day's equilibrium, previous day's VWAP, and then you've got the previous day's point of control and value area high. Because on the overall chart, if you take a look, just pull up my TA. So I do have the previous day values set out here. So we're just below the daily open. I would like to see a push up to the value area high, but based on where we currently are, if I put on the local golden pockets, we do have this standalone. I don't have any confluence in this area currently at the minute. This would be your golden pocket, which is again pretty standard. The reason we're holding up price in this area is if I just do a quick zoom out. If I was to do a local range pull across the volume here, as you can see, so you've got these high volume nodes. You've got one sitting at the previous day's value area low, and the current one here is why we're sitting just below, and that's why we haven't dropped any lower. So basically we're just sitting in this price zone at the moment, between 19,100 and 19,000, let's say 200 we'll call it. So we're just waiting for the next bit of action to happen. At the moment, weekends are usually low volatility. You know, there has been some small price action over the weekend, but I wouldn't put too much weight in it. I'd prefer to probably trade next on the Monday morning unless something serious comes. So you could set a few alerts. You've got the value area low of the local range. You've got your golden pocket area, and then you've got your daily and your weekly. And like I said, we've just visited the low of the range. We've come straight through the point of control, and we went straight up to the value area high, rejected 618 on the previous day's point of control, full confluence there, rejection, back down to the point of control of the local volume range in terms of day trader or scalping, and now we're just bouncing sideways between this point of control and the daily open. So price action is pretty tight at the moment. If I just zoom out into the daily, and what we'll do is we'll just close off all the noise at the moment. And what we'll do is we'll have a look at some of the high time frame volume. Let's close some of this off. Okay, one more to go. So if we take a look at some high time frame volume, and what I've done is I took the volume today when I was doing my TA from the COVID pump, basically from March 2020. All the way up through the full volume range at the moment. Now, as you can see, the point of control sits all the way up at 47,900. So if I say 48,000, we've got a value area high of 58,200, and we've got a value area low. This is pure volume of 29,350. As you can see, this previous consolidation here. So if we slowly zoom in, you know, there's pretty much a big gap if we were to lose this support at 19,000. If we don't take the liquidity and move up, that we're going to revisit these lows. As you can see, we've got a high volume node sort of at 11,500 and 9,500. Now, this would be a great buying opportunity for most people. But obviously, I would imagine this would become sharp and swift on the way down because there's not a lot of support on the way down. Now we're at the final consolidation zone. So not to suggest which way either it'll go, because you have to play the probabilities. It's a case of, if we get to the top of the range again, where the weekly is, you take a short, and while we're at the bottom of the range, people will take longs and take profit at the point of control. So from that perspective, be smart, take profits. From a long-term point of view, if you are to buy and hold, I would be not so sure about where I'd want to hold at the moment, because if we were to take these highs out and push up and reclaim the $29,000-$30,000 area, that would definitely be a consideration to say, hey, we've reclaimed an old resistance now into support, and I would be looking for serious upside. Whereas while we're at this level now, we've not really reclaimed any support, then you have to say we're going to be looking for further downside. So I wouldn't be looking to add this to a portfolio for a long term. I'd just be monitoring on a regular basis. I think that's covered pretty much most of the areas I wanted to cover for today. It was only going to be a short roundup for the week. So let's see where we end up, and we will look if we can reclaim this daily here. I would like to see some action where we start to reclaim the previous day's value area low and start to work our way up through the levels to the previous day's value area high. Until I see some movement next, we're going to hold any further trades at the minute. And thank you very much for your time, and I'll provide you another update shortly. Thank you.